Today, we're really focusing in trying to understand Tesla's path forward, maybe where its stock is headed to.
Yeah, and we're using a pretty interesting article as our guide for this. It just came out yesterday, April 23rd, 2025.
Right, and this piece, it really tries to get to the heart of the relationship between Tesla and Elon Musk. It's always captivating, isn't it? Often controversial, too.
Definitely. The company's story and its leaders seem so tangled up together. It creates this real tension.
Yeah, the article even talks about a brutal truth tied to all this. That definitely caught my eye.
It's good timing for this discussion, too, especially thinking about those Q1 2025 earnings Tesla just reported.
Oh, yeah, that was quite something.
A 20% drop in automotive revenue, overall revenue down 9%. I mean, that context is pretty crucial for looking at the future prospects discussed in this article.
Absolutely. So, okay, our mission today. Let's dive into this article, unpack its main arguments, the key insights about where Tesla might be going.
Sounds good. Where should we start? That brutal truth.
Yeah, let's jump in there. The article starts with this interesting question. It asks if you can easily name the CEOs of, say, GM, Toyota, Ford,
Honda, VW. Yeah, most people probably struggle a bit with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it asks, who's Tesla's CEO? And crucially, how do you feel about him?
And that's the key, isn't it? That immediate recognition and usually a strong reaction.
Right. The article points out, maybe apart from someone like a former president, Musk is arguably one of the most polarizing figures out there right now.
Almost everyone knows the name, and almost everyone seems to have an opinion, good or bad.
And the article backs this up with some numbers, pretty striking ones, actually.
What did it say?
Well, there was a January survey. Something like 60% of EV owners or potential buyers said they'd be less likely to buy a Tesla because of Musk.
Wow, 60%. That's significant.
Then a February poll found almost half of Americans disapproved of his work with the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE, they call it.
Right, DOGE. That connection is definitely part of the public conversation.
And just yesterday, a new poll. Half of Americans apparently have negative views of Musk, and almost as many, 47%, have negative views of Tesla itself.
So the negativity towards him might be sort of spilling over onto the brand.
Seems like it. And the article mentions Musk actually addressed this a bit on the earnings call.
Oh, what did he say?
He suggested the protests against Tesla aren't just random, but organized, maybe paid for by people who don't like his DOGE work.
Interesting explanation. Did he say he stepped back from DOGE?
He mentioned reducing his time there, yeah, but still keeping a role, so not a complete departure.
Okay, so he sees a link between the opposition to his government work and the pushback on Tesla.
That seems to be his take, according to the article, but this leads into what the article calls the brutal two-part truth.
Okay, what's that?
Part one, Tesla probably wouldn't be where it is today, this sort of groundbreaking company, without Musk's vision. Hard to argue with that, really.
Yeah, probably true. But the second part?
The second part is, now the company faces challenges because of him, because of his other activities, the strong reactions he generates.
Ah, the double-edged sword. He built it up, but now his persona might be holding it back, or at least creating headwinds.
Exactly. And the article contrasts this sharply with, GM or Toyota. Do people really factor in the CEO's personality when buying a Camry? Probably not.
No, their CEOs are relatively unknown figures, aren't they? The purchase decision there is likely way less about the person at the top.
Right. It highlights how unique Tesla's situation is, being so tied to one very high-profile, very polarizing individual.
So that's a key takeaway then. His influence cuts both ways.
Okay, let's dig into that idea more. The article brings up key person risk, but frames it specifically as Elon Musk style.
Right. Usually key person risk means what happens if the CEO gets sick or leaves, can't do the job.
Yeah, the operational side.
But here the argument is different. It's not just about his ability to run the company day to day.
So what is it then?
It's about his public image, his polarizing nature, potentially alienating customers, like we saw with those poll numbers.
Ah, so the risk is losing customers because they don't like him.
Exactly. Or even that owning a Tesla starts to feel like making some kind of political statement, because he's so associated with certain viewpoints now.
That's fascinating. Buying a car becomes a political act, potentially.
The article suggests some people might just avoid that altogether, choose something else to not get drawn into it.
That really reframes key person risk, doesn't it? It's not just business continuity. It's public sentiment, brand identity.
Absolutely. It's much more about the social and political dimensions he brings.
But okay, the article doesn't just dwell on the risks. It also pivots to the future, the big ambitions Musk keeps talking about.
Right. especially on that earnings call. He kept emphasizing that Tesla's long-term value isn't just about selling the cars they make now.
No, it's all about the robo-taxis and the robots, right?
Autonomous vehicles, yeah, on a massive scale. And then the humanoid robots, Optimus. He sees those as the real value drivers down the road.
He's certainly not modest about it. The article quotes him saying Tesla could be the most valuable company in the world by far.
As valuable as the next 5 companies combined.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold prediction.
Extremely bold. Does he acknowledge it won't be easy?
Oh yeah, the article mentions he anticipates bumps on the way to that future. But his focus is clearly on that, disruptive tech future as the core of Tesla's worth.
It's a very long-term bet then, almost ignoring the present hiccups.
Seems that way. Which leads the author to talk about the unpredictability factor.
Meaning Musk himself.
Yeah, basically how hard it is to predict what someone like Musk will do next or what the impact will be. The article notes people like him are often full of surprises.
Which might be interesting for observers, but maybe less comforting for investors.
Well, that's the point the article raises. For Tesla, for its supporters, for people invested financially or emotionally, that unpredictability isn't just a curiosity. There's a lot riding on it.
They don't have the luxury of just watching the show, so to speak.
Exactly. Their stakes are much higher.
And so the article wraps up by turning it back to you, the listener. It poses that direct question again.
How do you feel about Musk?
Right. And the clear implication is that your answer to that question might really shape how you view Tesla's future, its stock, everything.
It really crystallizes the central issue, doesn't it? This incredibly tight link between the company's fate and its leader's public perception.
It's a unique situation, especially in such an established industry like automaking.
Definitely creates unusual challenges and maybe unusual opportunities, too.
So thinking about everything we've just unpacked, the poll data, Musk's own statements, this massive long-term vision, what does it all mean for Tesla going forward? For its success, its stock?
It really forces you to consider how much weight you put on one individual, however visionary they might be.
Which leaves us with that final thought, that provocative question for you to ponder.
Yeah, given how much seems to ride on Musk personally, this highly visible, often controversial figure, how should we actually measure Tesla's future value?
Is it purely about the technology, the innovation, the market disruption?
Or does public feeling, the CEO's personal brand, play just as critical a role in the end? It's a complex mix.
Definitely something to think about. Consider your own answer to that question. How do you feel about Musk, and what does that mean for how you see Tesla?